You. Okay, so with that, I think we're ready. And one thing that I would like you to do is when we are solving the maths problem, when we are in that section, rather than typing in your answer in the meeting chat to everyone, I will request you to, you know, I will request you to basically type in your answer as a direct message to me. So do not direct message to everyone, just direct message to me so that I can only see your answer and no one else can see your answer. And this will allow everyone to keep working on the problem if they have not solved it. Okay. So when the responses are asked of you, try to provide that response uh, as a direct message to me. Okay. So with that, let's get started. I will share my screen and we will get started. Okay. So again, what we are going to be talking as the first topic is what is digital SAT and what are the main component and understanding main components and what is asked and what is the main focus and what is the nature of this exam will help you prepare better for it. So that's the purpose of this one. So before I get started, I just want to briefly introduce myself. I'm a professor at Clemson University in mechanical and automotive engineering department. And I have been doing these SAT boot camps from past 6 to 7 months, where I've been offering these no cost free programs to a lot of students who are interested in it. And on top of that, we also have year-long SAT programs, which are paid programs, which are not free, no cost, but we also have a follow-up year-long program which runs close to 52 weeks, which comprehensively covers all the topics in the SAT. Okay, so with that, let's get into it. What is the digital SAT? First of all, the reason why digital SAT is taken is, it essentially requires, it is used to measure your college readiness or college readiness of a high school students for um, different colleges. And the reason being, even in US and across abroad, it is very hard to gauge just based on purely this GPA, what is the objective assessment and what is the quality of students? Because different schools have different grading systems, different students have taken different paths, they have chosen to take different subjects. So it's very hard to find a single lens, a common lens that can be used to evaluate the application of the student, right? So this is why SAT acts as an objective lens. This is why it's an aptitude test, which is used thoroughly for assessing the readiness of the college. However, having said that, we also need to mention that this is not the only criteria on which the decision making happens at the college level. There are other factors like your school, how well you have done in school, what is your GPA, what are the extracurricular activities you have done, and so on, are other factors that are also considered during the college admission process. But this is one of the one which is mainly focused on systematically comparing the aptitude level of all the high school students for college admissions. Okay, and typically it is used for juniors and seniors and globally used in college admissions. Now, what has happened in March 2025, the SAT has moved to a digital format. Okay, and it has basically focused on two main sections, which are reading and writing and math sections, and we will go through, couple of subtopics in each of them during this no-cost programs. And the way the interface has been designed, especially the digital SAT interface has been designed, it allows for universal design principles. What that mean? That anyone with even disabilities and other things should be able to take this test. And other primary importance of digital SAT on top of, sorry, sorry, on top of college readiness and application is the data that is captured during the testing process across various regions are also shared with educators and policymakers, and based upon the data they have received, it is also used for policy making purposes. Now, previously there was traditional SAT where you have essentially, a preset question, and all the applicants or all the SAT test takers will essentially take the same standardized SAT test during a given date. Okay. And the good thing about that every question was same. It was controlled content. However, it was lengthy, and the same set of questions were used to gauge the aptitude ability of every student appearing on that date. But as I mentioned, in March 2025, they have changed it, and now it has become adaptive testing and what is known as digital SAT. And you will come across me saying term DSAT, D for digital, and SAT is the remaining, which is the Scholastic Aptitude Test. Now, what has happened is adaptive test changes the set of questions that is asked in module 2 based on module 1. And depending upon how a student has performed in module 2, he or she will get a completely different set of questions in module 2 in reading and writing and math section. And I will talk about this in a little bit more detail going forward. Okay. Also, the other advantage has they have reduced the time for the test, which is shorter, and it adjusts to different levels of the students. Okay. Now I will talk about the adaptivity model. If you talk about adaptivity model, there are many things that could be used. For example, the question is depending upon the question that I'm currently facing. If I answer it right, the next question can change, right? But that is not the case in SAT. When you take a model, a set of questions is always fixed, and in that model, when you are taking the test, those questions are not going to change. After you have completed a set of questions in the model, based upon how you have performed in that model, the model 2 is going to change, right? So this is the main thing that I want to highlight, that adaptive testing in digital SAT is not question by question adaptivity. It is not going to be, every question is not going to be changing based upon your performance on the previous or question. Whereas it is going to be what is known as a multi-stage adaptive testing, which is one stage going to be fixed, a set of question is going to be fixed, and then depending upon how you have performed on that set of question, the module 2 or the next stage will completely be customized and changed. And this is the main adaptive nature of the test that is used in digital SAT. Okay, and the tests that is there in each module are divided into various categories such as easy, medium, and hard questions that will be given to you. Okay, so let's talk about what happens in adaptive testing in DSAT. You have primarily two sections. Math is one section, and then reading and writing, which basically focuses on comprehension and reading and writing ability of the students, right? What you do is you are given a broad mix of easy, medium, and hard question in module 1. Okay. Now, typically, most of the questions are easy, so close to 60%. And then the 20% mix of the questions are medium difficulty level questions. And then 20% of the questions are hard difficulty level questions. That is the typical mix. Those numbers are not exactly known, but based upon the data of last year's SAT, this is something that could be construed that roughly 60% is easy, 20% is medium, and 20% is hard in module 1. Okay. Now, each student will take nearly the same module 1 question. Okay. Now, depending upon how they have done in the module 1, the module 2 changes, and in module 2, students are given a targeted mix of questions of varying difficulty based on their performance in module 1. So let's say you have done really well in module 1 and you've answered nearly all the questions, then typically you will get a lot of harder questions in module 2. Okay, so it is not a bad sign that you're getting a harder questions in module 2, right? Typically, it's a good sign if you're getting. That means you've done really well in module 1, and that's why you're getting harder questions in module 2. And the overall score that you get on a given section, that could be either math, which or reading and writing, that is dependent upon your performance in both the modules, module 1 and module 2. And let me explain how this works. First, the module 1, where the mix of easy, medium, and hard questions are given to you. When you do, that model determines the range of score. For example, the same example that I'm continuing, let's say you have done really well. Let's say we are taking a math section in a math module, you have answered nearly all the questions right in module 1, then your score range will be fixed from, let's say, 740 to 800. So that will be the range. They will come up with a range of a score based upon your performance in module 1. Okay. Now, since you have done well, you will typically get a lot of harder questions in module 2. And depending upon how you have done in module 2, your final score will arrive. If you've still done really good in module 2, then your score is going to be closer to 800. If you're not done that well in module 2, still it's not going to be very low. It's going to be somewhere close to 740. So the final score comes out based on how you have done in both the models. Module 1 basically gives you a range, and module 2 freezes and finalizes the score based upon how you have done in module 2. Okay. Now, in terms of test times and other things, right? As I said, there are two modules in reading and writing and two modules in math section. For reading and writing sections, module 1 and module 2 are 32 minutes each. So the total time that you have is 64 minutes. Okay. For math sections, you have 35 minutes for each section. So the two modules are there. So the total time that you have for math is going to be 70 sections. And in total, if you combine both the four modules, two modules in reading and writing and two modules in math, then DSAT comprises 134 minutes across his four modules that you have. Okay. Now, when you're taking test, you are given a short break between the two main sections. So if you will typically start with reading and writing sections, okay, and you will get module 1, and immediately once you have finished the module 2, you will get module 2, and in between there will be no break. Once you finish the module 2, after that initial 64-minute, you will get a 10-minute break, and you can use that break to maybe use restroom or drink water, or go get some fresh air, walk, come relaxed, and be ready for the second section. Okay. Now, so what happens after this break? Students come back and they continue with the math section. And then back to back, so 70 minutes, you have to sit down and attempt and try to answer all the questions in math module 1 and module 2. Okay. Remember, when a section is going on, either reading or math, there are no breaks that are allowed. And you can go and use the restroom, you can ask the permission, but in that duration, during that process, you will be losing time, test time. So it is highly recommended that you practice in such a way that you can do both the models in one sitting, and to only try to take the break during the break between the two sections, which is reading and writing and math sections. Okay. So again, just focus on that. Okay. So coming to the test length, the reading and writing section, each module will comprise 27 questions. Out of that, 25 questions are operational and 2 questions are pre-test. I will talk about the pre-test in a little bit. So if you take the two modules of reading and writing, there are 54 questions, which are 50 operationals and 4 pre-test. Similarly, in math, you will have 22 questions in each module. Okay, so the number of questions in math is lower compared to the number of questions in reading and writing. And if you have looked into the time, the math sections are bigger, right? So if you look into this time, math sections are longer, and you have this 35 minutes for each module, whereas reading and writing section has 32 minutes. So math has lower number of questions, a little bit more time than reading and writing. 22 questions here, 27 questions here. Okay. Now let's talk about what are the operational and pre-test questions. So in math, you have 22 questions, 20 of them are operational and 2 of them are pre-test. Okay. So operational questions are questions in each of the sections, which when you do, your score will depend upon it. So they are actual questions that your performance will be gauged on. Whereas in each of these sections, Blue Book or College Board introduces two questions which are known as pre-test questions. Irrespective of how you have solved those questions, your score will not be affected by those questions. Those questions has been introduced for testing purposes intentionally, where the performance of the students are basically being captured, and they are possible questions for next years or next times digital SAT. So they are basically collecting data on how different students in actual testing setting are doing on those pre-test questions. Okay, so again, but you will not know which question is pre-test and which question is operational, right? So that's the trick. But your, let's say, luckily, even if you completely solve the pre-test questions wrong, it is not going to affect your score overall. This is just for testing purposes, data collection purposes, and those are possible questions that may come later in another SAT exam. Okay. So this is the about the test length that we have. Okay. Now, one important thing that I want you to focus on is look into the statistics and the main content. So here we have broken down the reading and writing section. So that's one major section, but it can be further broken down into 4 sections. And those sections are information and ideas, craft and structure, expression of ideas, and then standard English conversions. So these are the 4 subtopic under the reading and writing section. And each of this subtopic can be further broken into more subtopics. So under information and ideas, you have central ideas and detail, you have command of evidence textual, you have command of evidence quantitative, and you have inferences. Those are the 4 subtopic under this subtopic area. And if you tabulate all the subtopics, you will see that there are 11 subtopics in reading and writing section. And this gives you the idea of what subtopics or what level of granularity or what is the level of things that you need to be practicing. And another way to state this is, think about if there was a book written about DSAT reading and writing section, then this are going to be essentially the chapter of that books. So you need to focus on each of this subtopic, and there will be typically 11 chapters in that book, each chapter focusing on central ideas in detail, command of evidence, word in context, text structure, person structure, right? So this gives you an idea on the topic which you should be focusing your preparation on. Okay. Now, another thing, looking at the distribution of the question, right? The information and ideas is 26% of the question, craft and structure is 28, and others are 20, 26. So in roughly in reading and writing section, all those sections, information, ideas, and craft and structure, expression of ideas, they are equally important, right? So you need to focus on learning all the 11 subtopic or all the 4 main subtopics that are there in reading and writing. Now, when we go to DSAT math section, the math section could be broken down into 4 subsections, which are algebra, advanced math, problem solving and data analysis, and you have geometry and trigonometry. And similarly, each of these subtopic can further be broken down into this subtopic. So if you take the subtopic advanced math, then one of the subtopic is equivalent expression. You have nonlinear equation in one variable, and systems of equations in two variable and nonlinear function. So those are the topic. And if you tabulate all the number of topics that is listed here, you will see that there are 19 subtopics in math. And this essentially will be the chapters. If there is a book for digital SAT, this typically will be the 19 chapters that should be there in the book. And these are the topic, the subtopic level, which you should be familiarizing with, which you should be focusing on, where you should, all the focus of learning should be focused on this knowledge testing points or skills. Okay. Now, if you look into the section wise, algebra and advanced math is close to 70%. So these two sections are more important than the remaining two sections that is out there. So again, if you really want to score very high, then the idea is to study everything, right? However, if you're very crunched on time, and let's say you're only appearing within a month and you want to know what should be the topic I should be focusing more, then in that setting, algebra and advanced math and this set of top topics will comprise of 70% of the questions. So you can focus mainly on this and that will result in the maximum, right? However, I'm assuming that everyone is preparing sincerely and they want to score more. In that setting, every topic that is listed in this 19 should be focused on, and you should really do understand everything and try to solve a lot of problems, have a practice and other things to score high on this subtopics. Okay. Now, with respect to this course, the no cost free program course, you already have the Zoom link, but I'm just highlighting this here. We meet every Monday, 8 p.m. at EST, right? And that's what we will be doing for next 4 weeks. So next Monday, next to next Monday, and after that, around 23rd March, we will meet again. Okay, and it starts today. The format is we have 1 hour online class. Typically, the class is held for 50 minutes. Okay, and the last 10 minutes for will be there for any question and answers. Okay. Now, what we will cover in the course. So we will cover, first of all, today we will cover linear equation in one variable, which is the simplest topic. So as I mentioned, if you look into this breakdown other topics, right? Algebra, we have linear equation in one variable, we have linear equation in two variables. So this is the simplest and the first topic, and this is the topic that we'll cover today. Then, we will go to reading and writing section on next Monday, and there we will basically cover the cross text connection, right? So this topic right here, which is under the craft and structure, we will cover and we will focus on learning what cross text connections are, and that's how we will proceed in that one. Okay, and after that we will come back again on one of the math topic, and finally one of the important things that I want to do on the fourth day is talk about Desmos. Desmos is a calculator, online calculator, and it turns out we can use that online calculator to solve nearly 40 to 50% of all the different types of digital SAT questions is there. Okay. So we will focus on that on the fourth day. Okay. One thing that I want to mention that when we are doing again in 4 weeks, we will be covering roughly 4 topics, including today. But as you can see, when I'm showing the syllabus, there are close to 30 topics that you need to be focusing on. So this course is not going to be comprehensive. This is going to be an introductory course, and we will not be able to touch on the remaining 26 topics during these 4 weeks, right? And this is where our year-long program, or you may have to find other help to prepare there. But given the structure, and this is important, even with this 4 weeks no cost free program, we will set up a structure how to study, and I will show you this structure with 4 topics, and you can take that as a basis and you can self-study, or you can opt for a year-long program either with me or somewhere else and use this structure to study for your digital SAT program that is out there. And we will be using hybrid teaching approach, which is I will try to emphasize today, which is like a combination of notes, slide, and then you also have access to www.prepitus.com, right? We will go there and we will use that as an AI based learning tool. So this will be what I call hybrid, a human and AI based learning approach. Combine that to study different topics. And I will show you how to do that for 4 topics, but you can do, if you're, if you don't want any structured program, then you can use the same structures to study the remaining 26 topics that we will not be covering during this 4 weeks due to the shortage of time that we have. Okay. And I will assign follow-up homeworks and assignments on WhatsApp channel. If you have not joined, then you should definitely join that. All the course materials, video link, and everything will be posted there. That is the main modality of sharing course content with you. And the homework is also present on www.prepitus.com, and you should be able to do the homework there itself. Okay. So again, we have created a WhatsApp study group, and I have shared the link. If once you have registered for the course, the WhatsApp link should be there. So I encourage you to join the WhatsApp group, because you will receive the weekly class reminder. I send, oh, today we have a class. So if you forget, that reminder will come there. The Zoom link will be there. We will be sharing the YouTube link to the recorded video lessons, whatever we are doing, so that if you want to come back and revise some aspect, then you can do that. Course materials like slides and other things and assignments will be also shared on the WhatsApp group. Okay. So, I will encourage you to basically join that group. So let me quickly show you how the WhatsApp group looks like, at least on the desktop, but some of you may use it in the, cell phone also. So, this is the WhatsApp group that we have for Prepitus SAT Study Club. And a few of the students who are registered today have already requested to join, and I have approved. So once you send the request, I will, basically approve it. And what it does is, like, you can see, we have third live class, we will the lessons, PDF material, and then you will also see that, we share the YouTube videos of each of the lessons that we are carrying out. So I will highly encourage you that if you have not joined the WhatsApp group, then go to my email that was either sent today, or you might have also registered on the website itself, and during the registration process you might have got a confirmation email, and in that confirmation email we have the WhatsApp link, and also in the email that was sent today. So using that, go ahead and join the WhatsApp group, because we will be using that as a basis to share all the course material. Okay. So with that, I think I have given you the introduction to what is the digital SAT, what is the composition. Now let's get started with the first simplest topics of the math. Okay, so let me quickly pull that up and we'll get started on. Okay. As I said, this is probably the most easiest topic in math for digital SAT that will be covered here. So we'll try to, cover this topic in the remaining 20-25 minutes. But when you come to next class, we will take the whole class focused on a single topic. It will be, and the topics are going to be a little bit more involved, not as simple. And that's why I picked this topic, because I wanted to give you an introduction to what are the main component of digital SAT, how it is taken, what is the structure, and then pick one topic where we at least know the process of studying that we are doing. Okay, so what we will try to do is we will try to understand the basic concepts, and then we'll solve and apply some of the understanding we have. So the structure of the study, or the structure of the how we are going to be doing this 4-week program, is going to be very similar. So we'll always, with a topic, we will start with some basic concepts. We'll understand the theory behind the basic concepts. Then we will solve, right here, some example problems. And then we'll go on to www.prepitus.com. We will practice some problems there. There is a very intuitive interface, and we are going to be using some key concept there. And then finally, you can also do your homework on the www.prepitus.com. Since you have already created the account, that account allows you to have a free access to that website for the whole March. And so you should be able to, do your homeworks that we are assigning right here. That we'll be sending the WhatsApp information. So let's get started with this topic. So what is a linear equation? And especially a linear equation in one variable. So equation that can be written in the form of ax plus b equal to 0, where a and b are constant and x is one variable, or the single variable in the equation will be known as a linear equation in one variable because, the reason this is known as linear because the power of x is 1. Now, if you change this power of x to anything like 2 or, e or pi or zero point 0.5, right? Anything which is not 1, then in that case, this equation will become non-linear equation. Since the power is 1, this equation is known as a linear equation, and the number of variables that we have is 1 in this overall equation. Now, this typically, visually, when you plot this equation will look like a straight line. So what will happen? If you plot this on a graphing plotter, you will get a straight line equation. This will be the plot for this linear equation that we have. Okay. So that's the visual meaning of what this equation is. Okay. Now, some examples. 2x plus 3 equal to 7. The second example is minus 5x plus 10 equal to 10, right? So equal to 0. So here, what is happening, if you notice, x is the single variable. This is A, this is B, right? And we can rewrite this equation. We can bring it here, and we can rewrite this equation as 2x plus 3 minus 7, which will be minus 4 equal to 0, right? So this will come in the standard form where this is A, this is B, right? Where B is minus 4, A equal to 2. And similarly, you can, take all of these equations, and these equations are essentially some examples of linear equation in one variable. So if you do, some manipulation, you will always arrive at this form that you see here, where there is only one variable and the constant A and V could be different among the different examples that you see here. Okay. Now, it's very simple to solve. I think, as I said, like it's one of the probably the simplest topic. What you need to do is you need to isolate the variable and solve for x. Key thing, especially in math topic, and that is also what we will emphasize in the cross-text connection topic that we discuss next week. Always, whenever you find an answer, check the solution. And if you do this one step, which is generally suggested and taught throughout, which many students do not use, you have chances of improving your scores significantly because a lot of students solve the question right, but maybe during one of the steps they might have misnoted what is there in the previous step and they might find a wrong answer. And checking the solution always helps you get the right answer or at least eliminate the mistakes that is out there. Okay, so let's take a very simple work example for this. As I said, this is a very simple topic. 2x plus 3 equal to 11. And what is solving a linear equation means? Solving a linear equation means essentially what is the value of x for which this equation is satisfied. So what is x? If this is the linear equation in this thing, what is the value of x? That is what we mean by solving for variable x in this linear equation. So simple thing, first we'll subtract 8 from both sides, and this will lead to 2x equal to 8. Divide both sides by 2, and this will be x equal to 4. Okay, so this is what is solving means. Now, most of the times when you get questions from this topic, you will be given a word statement, and more or less likely, you have to formulate an equation that will look like this. Okay, so you have to read what is given in the problem statement, and you have to come up with an equation like this. Okay, that is one type of problem. And the second medium difficulty problem that could be there is after formulating that equation, you have to solve for x, and x might be the answer of multiple choice question that you might be there. Okay, so those are the primarily two questions that is there in this overall topic. As I said, this is the simplest topic, and everyone is expected to do really well on this topic. Okay, so some of the common mistakes is when you forget to apply operations on both sides, subtracting -8 from both, right? Sign errors, if you're missing negative signs and if you're moving things from left side to the right hand side or right hand side to left hand side, you have to change the negatives, right? And not checking the solution is common mistakes. Okay, and sometimes misinterpreting the fractions and how they have been written could also be an issue. Okay, so there is not much theory to cover except what is the linear equation, how to solve for it. And let's now jump into solving the problem. Before I go into solve problem example, I will, as I already have told all of you, is what you need to do is when you solve the problem, this is the meeting chat that we have, right? What you need to do is you need to, rather than everyone in the meeting, you need to select my name and only answer and respond to that. So you should not use, everyone. You should just use direct to Dr. Rahul Rai and input your answer. And the reason being, I do not want anyone else other than you to be affected by your answer, and they can keep solving without looking at the answer. If you do to everyone, then they will know that this is the most probable answer, and that may distract other students. So for everyone involved, please use the direct message to me to input your answers. And after some time, we move on and try to solve the second problem and so forth and so on. Okay. So I hope you have pen and paper or pencil with you. And this is the, one simple example or problem from linear algebra, linear equation, one variable that, you can solve. So read this problem statement and input your right option to me in the chat window. Okay, I have a couple of answers. Good. One more answer. I will wait for 15 more seconds for you to input. Okay, B. 10 more seconds. If you have not done it, can you input your answers? Okay, so let's get into the process to solve this, and let's follow how to solve this problem. Okay, so it says that Sarah's lunch costs C and Emily's lunch costs $2 more. So Emily's lunch cost is going to be C plus 2, right? Because it's $2 more than Sarah's cost. So what is the overall cost? C plus 2, right? C is Sarah's cost and Emily's cost is there. So if I sum this up, this is 2C plus 2. Now, each of them are splitting. So their each person's cost is going to be 2C divided plus 2 divided by 2 because they are splitting that cost. So individual cost for Sarah and Emily will be this. Okay. However, they are adding 20% tip on that. So this is the main cost, but they are adding 20% tip, which is going to be 0.2 times C plus 1, right? So if I have $100 bill, overall bill, and if I'm paying 20% tip, which is additional $20, that is going to be zero point 0.2 times 100, right? So you can see this. So from here, it will be 1.2, 1 from here, zero point 0.2 from here, times C plus 1. And so that's why this option is going to be the right option for this overall problem. Okay, so this is an example of sort of a, in terms of level, hard problems in linear algebra in one variable. Again, this is what it is asking you to do is formulate the problems from the word statement. Okay, so this is one type of common problem that you will see. So let's go through the solution process again in a clean version. So if you add the prices of Sarah's and Emily's lunches, you will get C plus C plus 2 or 2C plus 2. That's the overall price. You will split them in half. So the price is going to be C plus 1. Okay. Now, if you give them 20% tip, that is going to be 1.2 times this for the total cost. The total cost involves the initial split bill plus 20% tip on that bill. So this is why your overall expression for this problem is going to be 1.2 C plus 1. Make sense? Okay, so let's move on and let's go on to the solve problem 2. And again, maths, the key idea is if the problem is easy, you may want to solve it very, very quickly and save as much as time as possible for some hard questions that you will get in the model that might take 4 or 5 minutes. So saving times for easy question and solving them quickly is one key strategy that we discuss and practice also in the year-long program. So again, with this, please proceed and give me your answer through direct message. Good. Great. Now this one is a very easy problem. So I think we have got multiple answers already. So let's discuss this solved example problem. So what this is saying that when Anna is 15 years old, her brother's age could be calculated using this expression, where X is the Anna's age at this point of time. Okay. So I can use value of X equal to 15 in this, right? So this is X. I will substitute that here, and that minus 12 will give the age of her brother, right? So this will be 45 minus 12. Makes sense? And that is going to be equal to 33, right? Now it's asking for the difference between Anna's age and her brother's age. So her brother's age is 33 and Anna's age is 15. So 33 minus 15, that is going to be equal to 18. So that the choice, this one is the right choice for this example problem. Okay, so again, this one is an easy one. It's a linear equation in one variable. You substitute, you find the brother's age, and you subtract the Anna's age to get the answer for this overall problem. Okay, now let's move on to a cleaner version of the solution that we have. You need to substitute the Anna's age in this expression. And if you do that, you will get 33-year-old. Then the difference is found by subtracting the brother's age from the Anna's age, which is 33 minus 15, and you get this 18 as an answer. So let's move on to problem 3, which is also an easy problem. Good. Good. Very good. I've got few answers and all of them have been right so far. Good. Great. I think everyone has so far solved this problem correctly. So I think we are on the right track. Okay, so let's go ahead and discuss this problem. Okay, how to, solve this problem. So question is, in xy plane, the graph of which of the following equation is in line with slope -4. Now, this is also related to, that a straight line equation is of this form, where y is equal to mx plus c, where y is the slope of the straight line and c is known as y-intercept, right? So if a line has a slope of -4, it doesn't matter what is here. Y will be obviously here. So y is equal to -4x plus c will be the equation of that line, even if you don't know what is the value of this intercept. So if I'm looking at all the choices that we have here, the coefficient -4 is only there in this one. And that is what is going to be the line of the equation right here. Okay. So this is going to be the right choice for this overall problem. And all of you got that right. So this tells me that you have, this concept very, very clear. And again, this is an easy problem. And you should be able to solve this fairly quickly and easily. And as I said, Module 1, 60% of the problems are going to be of this class, easy class. And so the idea is practicing, knowing correctly and solving them quickly. Okay, so again, a clean version of this solution that we know that the slope intercept form of linear equation is given by y equal to mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept, right? The slope is -4, so m is going to be equal to -4. So the only answer choice which has this -4 as a slope is choice C. And that's how you can pick up the right answer. Okay. Now let's move to a medium difficulty problem and give me your answers when you're done. Good. We have a couple of answers. One of them is right. Good. Good. Yes, I think everyone yeah, majority of you have answered it right. So great, great. So let's quickly go ahead and solve this problem. Okay. So what we have that, 3 times number m. So this basically says that 3m when added to 12, okay, this results into 33. Okay. Now the question is, what will be, if that's the case, what will be the value of 15m plus 9? So if you read this sentence, this translates into this equation. So from here, we can solve this question. So this is 33, okay, and 3m plus 12. So if you go that, and now with this information, what we can do here, first we can solve for m and find out what is the value of m, and then go ahead and substitute that value of m here, and we can find that answer. Okay, so I will erase this. At least you got the conceptual approach to solve for this problem. Okay, now we will go ahead and solve this problem, a cleaner version of the problem, which is here, right? As I said, this will be the equation from here. If you solve this, which is basically subtract both sides 12 and then divide both the sides by 3, you will get m equal to 7. Now you need to substitute the value of m equal to 7 in this expression. And if you do that, that will be 15 times 7 plus 9, or that is going to be 114. So the option that is right, if you see this option, 114, which is the option B, is the right option. Okay. Now there are a couple of more problems in this PowerPoint slide, and I will share this slide with you on the WhatsApp group, so you can go through them and you can solve them. The other thing that I want to quickly cover is go to the www.prepitus.com and show you how to solve problems here too. You should have a user name and ID, and this will first of all allow you to do the homework. So I will first thing that I will ask you to do is, once you have signed in, and I know that most of you have already created the user profile, you can go to the homework section here, go to math right here, and here you will see this is the linear equation in one variable. Okay, once you click linear equation in one variable, you can start the homework. You click this and there will be an interface that is exactly similar to what you will see in digital SAT, and you can complete your homeworks there, and it will automatically grade the homeworks and give you the what mistakes you have done, or the feedbacks you can check automatically on this interface. So this is something will be a follow-up homework and assignment that you will get. Okay, so it's again homework, that's how we can do. Second thing I want to quickly show is, like, you can use this interface, which is the knowledge concept interface, to study, and that's the AI and hybrid approach. So we did the first human part in the class. You can go here and you can click on the maths. Once you go to knowledge concept, you can click on the maths and you will have these tiles. And one of the tiles is this algebra linear equation in one variable. Okay, so if you click this, you can study a textbook material, linear equation in one variable example here, which is basically similar to what I showed you, talked about. It's a textbook type of material that you can do. And then there are solved examples here. You can just pause at this and you can practice these questions. Okay, you can solve for these questions and you can get an answer. And you can see the explanation. That will be another way to practice this. And more interestingly, what we have here is like, if you go to this green button, which is like dynamic notebook, you can create concept quizzes. Okay, so you can click this one and it can create quizzes of multiple different difficulty levels. So you can practice easy, medium, and hard. Let's do an easy one so that you know the process. And again, I will assign the homework. You can practice as many concept quiz you want. You can practice 5, 10, and choosing each medium difficulty or easy and hard level. And you can practice hundreds of questions if you like to, using the interface that is there. Now, this interface, the questions are generated by AI. And depending upon the selection, whether you have selected medium, easy, and hard problem, it will generate a concept quiz, and you can practice as many questions as you want. So this is the approach that we will also follow in the next class to study a reading and writing topic more comprehensively, where we will follow the PowerPoint slide approach, where we will follow the static note approach, and where we will also follow the dynamic notebook, and especially the concept quiz, right? So here you can see as an easy question for a concept quiz has been generated. I want you to focus on this and give me the answer that you think is right. So this is a very simple question. You have to rearrange and solve for X. This is one of the simplest things. Easy question in linear equation in one variable will come into the picture. Okay, so please solve this and give me the answer. Good. Good. We have a couple of answers already. Okay, so I think the best way to solve this is, bring 2x on this side and move the 7 on other side. So this will give us this equation, which simplifies to 2x is equal to 16, or x will be equal to 8. Okay, so the right answer is going to be C, right? That is going to be the right answer that is going to be there. But one thing that I want you to notice, and we will select that, is if you have a hard question, you can also get different types of hints. You can get a partial hint, you can get a stepwise hint, and the stepwise hint is a very, very good tool that you have here. So let's say you got a hard question and you are not able to solve it. Don't put the you answer it. Try to get a step hint, and you will see it will say that, okay, subtract this one, and does this allow you to solve the problem or not? Okay, if not, then you can go to the next step of this hint. You can get the second hint. Similarly, you can proceed and you can get all the stepwise hint that will allow you to solve the overall problem. Okay, so using this interface, using the concept quiz in the dynamic notebook, new notebook that is here, you can solve as many questions as you like, 5, 10, 15 of different difficulty levels. So let's say if you are comfortable with easy, then you should practice medium difficulty questions. If you're comfortable and if you're answering all the medium difficulty questions easily, then you should move on and practice hard questions. Okay, and so this is AI generated quiz, but this is a completely automated way which adapts to your level, and you can practice various levels of difficulty question using this interface, and you can do that for all the different 30 topics here. So we will set up this structure of 4 topics in this 4 weeks, but you can follow the same structure, and you can, using this website itself, you can do a lot of self-study to prepare for your digital SAT. Okay, so let's select this C, and that's the right answer. So it turns green. If I select it wrong, it will show as a wrong answer. Okay. So with that, we will stop today. And as I said, please enroll on the WhatsApp group. And on that WhatsApp group, if you go to homework, maths, linear equation in one variable, and you can click this start homework, and that is where you can complete a 15 question homework, and that will be self-assessed and self-graded, and you can practice on that. So with that, we will stop, and I thank you for joining this course, and I look forward to seeing you every week for next 4 weeks. And please do get enrolled in the WhatsApp group so that I can share the material of PDF material and the homework and the videos that we have recorded today that you can use for your study purposes. Thank you, and have a good night or good morning depending upon where you are located. Thank you.